Hey, what's happening, everybody? Hey, you listen to Eyes on Smash Bros. Radio, the only digital radio station, award winning digital station in Pleasant Grove, Birmingham, Alabama. If you have not done so, please like, follow, share, and subscribe. We would appreciate you tremendously if you would do that. Yes, Lord, it is Monday, the 11th. We have 9/11 to think about. Pray for those families who were affected by 9/11. The first time that the United States was ever really attacked. That's what sets us apart from everyone else. And we're too arrogant and too vogue or whatever. We don't seem to understand we are blessed, but we're cocky with our blessings. And so just keep those families that were affected, something that you can't get over for 9/11. So, and where were you during 9/11? What were you doing? I can't remember what I was doing at 9/11. Tell you the truth, I don't even remember what I was doing for 9/11. So, but it was something that it should have been something. It was horrendous, but it should have opened our eyes to a lot of stuff. But if anything, it made us even more vain and even more arrogant, more pompous, more peacock when it came to our attitude. So please continue to pray for those families that were affected by 9/11. So we're going to talk about the family today. So, but if you have not done so, please like, follow, share, subscribe to Smash Bros. Radio. We also have an app. Please download our app. A new personality is coming on to the app soon, Chaos. His show is from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. He will be playing his own music. Well, not his own music. He'll be playing music. He'll have a pretty good setup, from what I understand. His favorite quotation for his show is, he's going to put you to sleep, he's going to wake you up, and he's going to turn some of your asses out. So be on the outlook or look out for him. Chaos, I think it's KAOS on Smash Bros. Radio app. That's at 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. in the morning. So please check him out. So I'm OZZz. You can check me out on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. Same way with Smash Bros. You can find us on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Please follow, like, share, subscribe. So I spent my Saturday with my godmom, and it's always interesting when I spend time with her. I don't know what half the time we sat out with one schedule and wind up with multiple schedules or multiple errands. So, but this is going on my 5th year. This is the 5th year anniversary since my dad passed away. My goddad, my godparents were together for over 45 years. And they had a very close connection, a very close relationship. This was my dad's 3rd marriage. This was my mom's 2nd marriage. 2 distinct geographical regions, 2 distinct social economic levels. My dad is from Montgomery. He was Old Montgomery. His family was Old Montgomery. They were the Whitfields. His grandparents, and going further back, his grandparents, the Wolfs, were bread. They made bread in Lafayette, Louisiana. Whitfields were the alligator syrup and pickles. So if you were raised here in Alabama, most of you would know about alligator syrup and Whitfield pickles. there's two syrups that usually were around, and that was Yellow Label and Gallagher syrup. And so Dad came from that background. Mama came from Oklahoma. Her father, her family were farmers, old acres. So it was a match. It was a complete magical match when they came together because it was such a close, such a tightness. You could really say that they were bonded soulmates. So when Dad passed away, it affected Mama a lot, and she's still going through the after effects of losing Dad. So I spent time with her, and we usually have when I go over there, I usually have coffee. And so her son Lewis is a professional photographer, and he has a lot of huge accounts with businesses, Sunkist, Purina, a lot of restaurants. If you've gone to the menu, if you've gone to some restaurants, some of the pictures in the menus are Lewis's. He has these two huge studios in which these companies would drive these refrigerated trucks, back them up, and they had these food designers that would prep the food, prepare the food, set up the food, and then Lewis would take the pictures. So Lewis has done real well, extremely well. So, but he got tired of California, so he's moved to Kansas, and he's bought some land in Kansas. So, because of the house is somewhat more cumbersome and more difficult for my mom to handle. But she's doing well, and so it was understood that once Lewis got his house uh, built, that the house that was further down, closer, more in the center of the land, would be renovated so my mom could go and live. But she talked to Lewis, I think it was 2 weeks ago, and told him that the house was becoming too much for her. And so it may be expedited when she goes to live with Lewis, which brought a lot of thoughts came flooded because you, the way that I was raised, we we were raised to know our place, stay in our place, accept our place, and we didn't question our place. We were given expectations. We were given responsibilities. So there was never a question about who was going to do what. It was automatically understood that if my mom, my mom, if my mom became to where she couldn't handle things, well, then either I would move in with her or she would move in with me. So there was no question. There was, what is it, going to a nursing home, that was not an option. Going into a retirement home, that was not an option. That was never an option. When my grandmother got to the point to where she couldn't take care of herself, uh, it was my aunt because see we knew our responsibilities. So it was my aunt. I think that my grandmother spent I think 2 weeks in a nursing home, and it was immediately understood that that's not going to happen. Somebody's going to have to move or change their plans or something, but she's not going to stay in that nursing home. So my aunt uh, bought a house in Montgomery, and my aunt uh, and my grandmother lived together. Uh, so, but with with what's transpiring between my godmom, see, I don't have the sole responsibility And so it brought a lot of things to mind. And I did this, I think on Saturday, I did it on my Instagram account, but I wanted to expound on it today. Uh, do families have that talk about who is going to do what? Do y'all have do you have already pre-planned uh, funeral arrangement? Do you have pre-planned any? Have y'all pre-planned anything? Now, see, my grandmother didn't have much, so there wasn't really per se a need for a will because everyone knew what everybody was supposed to get. See, we never. I was blessed in that when my grandmother passed away, that there was no vulture circling, trying to get this and get that, and so we didn't go through that, and it is mind blowing to me coming from the family, and it's really peculiar and kind of funny that I was raised in a close knit family per se, uh, but see, I have always isolated myself. I never really was part per se of activities in the family. I knew my responsibilities. I knew what was expected. I knew the responsibility. I knew the expectations. I knew those. And I accepted those because back then I'm 63. So back then there was no question. This is what you were supposed to do. These are your obligations. These are your responsibilities. And this is what you're going to do. And we did it because it was expected of us. It was our obligations. But I'm wondering, looking at the dynamics of the family now, are there expectations in the family and are there responsibilities in the family? Does everyone know their place in the family? Does everybody accept the place in the family? Because see, while you have your parents and your grandparents and your aunts and your uncles and all, the elders were your nucleus. Now, as in every family, if you come from a large family, then you have to understand that people had large families back then because most were raised on farms. And so they needed the extra hands because they couldn't afford to hire anyone to come and to help them on their farm. So they had to have the children to help with the farming. So that's where the responsibilities come from. That's where the expectations come from. So you're always going to have that aunt who's going to be bougie, who's going to think that she's better than everybody else. Then you're going to have that aunt who is going to be bossy and is going to tell everybody what to do, and everybody and see and while the folks are living, you allowed that because they were your elders. You allowed that big mouth bitch of an aunt to do whatever she was going to do because no one that's everyone allowed her to do it. Her family allowed her to do it, which was your mom, her siblings, and their parents, your grandparents. That was their family. But then you have your family, which is your mom and dad and your siblings. So while your parents were living and your grandparents and your great grandparents was living, there was an understanding and expectations, and it was the tradition that this is how things are handled. So see, there was order. If there was order, there was a certain expectation that we're going to this house on Thanksgiving, we're going to this house on Christmas. You're going to bring this, you're going to bring this, and then we're going to come together. And then there's going to be those cousins that will just pop up here and there like a spring rain, just pop ups and disappears. They pop up and then they disappear. But they always have an opinion. They always have some type of their opinion. And people have allowed them to have those opinions and not challenge them. So have you has your family had that talk? Do you have a funeral plot? Do you have pre-planned funerals? Do you have even funeral policies? Because see, back during my grandparents' day, they had what we call the brown insurance, I think it was. And so my granddad had already bought 4 plots at Greenwood Cemetery. So it was my granddaddy, my grandmama, and then on the right side next to my grandmother was a double vault, a double grave, which from what I understand they don't do anymore. And then on the left-hand side next to my granddaddy was my uncle and then my mom. Now, since my mom was cremated, I have mama's plot. So, see, all of those were bought. They're bought and paid for. They've been paid for. And if you have an authentic grandparents and aunts and great aunts and uncles, most of them probably do have a brown insurance policy. So everything was taken care of except for the casket, except for the vault and the little tidbits, I think. No, well, I don't. I know that we did. I know that my aunt and uncle didn't have to pay much. I think it was like $200 or something. It was under $500 when it came to bury my grandmother. So, but have y'all sat down? And I know that it's a discussion that we don't want to talk about it. We're talk, but you have to talk. There's nothing wrong with dying. It's just a new adventure. It's just a change that's inevitable. It's just a change. And see, we see changes in different ways, but changes bring new things, brings modifications. Yes, change can bring anxiety. It can bring anger. It can bring hurt. It can bring excitement. It can bring joy. But change is a part of life. Death is part of life. I'm not scared to die. I ain't ready to go now. I got too many people I still have to aggravate. I'm not saying I want to. I'm not saying I'm not scared of dying. And I'm not scared to die alone. I don't need this fanfare. I don't need all these individuals around me. Don't need them. So have you had that talk about those changes of what if? If dad passes away, mama usually keeps a house. But what if mom gets to the point that mom can't handle the house? What arrangements have been made? Now, I'm sure there are nursing homes out there that blue ribbon or whatever the hell, but 98% of them ain't about shit. See, I've seen both sides. On my paternal side, my dad's mom I called Nanny. Nanny was put in a nursing home, and Daddy never visited her. My aunt randomly visited her. And I think that because of my nanny being put in a nursing home, I think that set her up for a rapid death. So see, if nursing home is the only option, and in most cases it is, there has to be an understanding that mama or whatever is going into the nursing home, but somebody needs to make sure that they are visiting on a regular basis. And those individuals in the nursing home knows that this family is responsible, so no stupidness can go on. Because this family's always here. This family's always wanting to know exactly what's going on. So this individual cannot be taken advantage of. And then when you think of the cost when it comes to taking care of the elderly, it is mind-blowing. Because when Mama got to the point to where she had the beginnings of dementia, she couldn't cook no more. She couldn't cook anymore. So my aunt would get up early in the morning and would prepare her pills. And this was before we sent her to the gerontologist. But see, it was my aunt that was taking care of everything. And I think it was the only time that I got close to being disrespectful to my mom, because Mama would travel to Marion, Alabama, to Hamilton to visit her sister-in-law, which meant that she would have to go through Montgomery. And my only question was, well, how come you can't stop on your way to give Deborah a break? And then when you come back, stay the weekend so that way Deborah can go to the country. But Mama never did. And that's a sore spot when it comes to me and my mom and my uncle. But see, I had to remember my place. That even though I was a grandson, I was not the son. I was not the sibling. So see, you have all these dynamics in the family. Have you sat down and have you had that conversation with your family? Not with the aunts and uncles. Not with the cousins. Just between your parents and your siblings. That's where we get into these complications, because the family's decision should be from the family itself, not from the outsiders, not from the aunts, not from the uncles, not from the cousins, not from the nephews and nieces of your parents. And it should be only made by your siblings, from your parents' children, not your parents' siblings. But then again, it goes back to your dynamics. So have y'all sat down and had that discussion? Who knows where all the policies are? Is there a will? Should they be a will? And in most cases, yes, there should. That's why you should have some type of document, especially if your parents have a lot of assets. And in some cases, not that many, but if there are assets there, it's best to have a will and to understand the process of probate. That's why you need a family attorney. Erica Scott Tolbert is a fantastic attorney. Erica Scott Tolbert, Tolbert, is a fantastic family attorney who can set you on the right directions. And there are other family attorneys out there. I personally have Erica Scott Tolbert. Her husband is also my State Farm agent. So you need some type of professional advice when it comes to a will, when it comes to probate. Probate is hell. Probate is precise. Precise. And it's long and tiring and trying and taxing. That's why you need an attorney to know how to maneuver through that bullshit. So have y'all sat down to have that talk? Because once your parents have passed away, then you're flooded with all this negative bullshit from these from their from their siblings. And then you're going to have to deal with those attitudes. And you shouldn't have to deal with those attitudes because that's not their place to dictate whatever. Yes, that was their sister. Yes, that was their aunt. Okay, big hip, big rippy goddamn do. So what? Because the ones who are always giving this advice are the ones that are not going to come up with the money. Well, we think that Auntie should have this $80,000 coffin. You must be out of your goddamn mind. $80,000 coffin for what? The bitch is going in the goddamn grave. The casket is going to be what? $80,000. Put her in a nice coffin. She's not going to know where the hell she is. He's not going to know where the hell he is. And if they want to, if that other individual wants to spend, well, then you buy the casket. We're taking. But to have this $80,000 casket, to have this huge celebration, you should have celebrated them when they were living. See, I don't believe in funerals. I think funerals are for the living. It's for a way for those individuals who didn't do shit while the individual was living. Now they feel guilty and they want to ease their conscience and they're going to get on the do this whole elaborate theater and talk about how much they were loved. And you didn't say it when they were alive. How do you have the audacity? How do you have the nerve to say all this shit now when they're not here? See, I'm not having a funeral. I'm not having a funeral. I'm not having a graveyard service. I'm not having a viewing. I'm not having all that extra bullshit. You saw me when I was alive. I don't want your ass to see me when I'm dead. Why would you want to see me dead? What is the purpose? If you had honored me, if you had given me mine when I was living, then you wouldn't have to see me when I'm dead. And to wait 3 weeks for that cousin who was never around, who only popped up. Why are you waiting 3 weeks for those folks from out of town? They never around during Thanksgiving or during Christmas or during, why? Why are you giving your energy away to individuals who didn't even think about your mom or your dad while they were living? Yes, they talked on the phone. Okay, big whoopty goddamn do. And I'm sure they loved them. Okay. But to wait 3 weeks, get over. See, that's where the dynamics change. Because, see, your mom and dad are no longer in charge. So that's where your boundaries have to be developed, have to be explained. What mama and daddy allowed y'all to do, I cannot and I will not allow you to do to me. I don't love you like that. Sally, your mouth, I'm not going to put up with it. I'm not going to put up with your negativity. Your little bougie, I don't need it. Don't want it. So either you're going to accept these new boundaries, or we won't have anything to do with you. And these cousins calling from out of town, you disrespected my mama, get over it. You disrespect your mom and your daddy because your ass don't come down here to see them. You haven't been down here in a while. So see, the dynamics change. The boundaries change. Responsibilities change. Expectations change. Attitudes change. Have you had that talk? So when these changes do occur, you're ready or you set up for them. See, my grandmother was the buffer for everyone because, see, I've always had a mouth. and will always have a mouth. Can't stop me from having a mouth. Ain't going to stop me from having a mouth. I'm not opinionated. I think to be opinionated, you have to believe. I don't give a happy goddamn if you believe. This is my opinion. You like it, you like it. You don't, you don't. If you don't like it, I don't give a happy god. You can kiss. Use Listerine before you kiss and before you suck, because I don't know where your mouth is being. And then you're going through this turmoil. When you, well, who's going to be in the family car? Well, I have to be in the front because this was Mama's. I don't give a care if it was Mama's favorite cousin or not. They didn't show up. They were never around. Fighting over who's going to be in the front, who's going to be in this car. What does it matter? See, I respected my elders while they were living. I stayed in my place while the elders were living. I even respected those who didn't deserve respect. I was abused as a child. I didn't have to give my daddy respect. I did because he was my daddy. Honor your father and your mother so that your days may be long. But also people forget about that second part. You need to read that second part. See, I honored my dad and my mom. I never disrespected my dad and my mom. Never. Never. So when Daddy passed away in Tennessee, I didn't feel guilty of not being there because I always gave him what was his. And plus two, I was not going to disrespect this man who beat me when I was a child to stop me from getting my blessings. He was my daddy. Same thing with my mama. I didn't want to go down to Foley. I hated Foley. I hated the beach. I hated the sun. I hated the heat. It was where my mama lived. I had to go. I knew my place. I knew my responsibilities. I knew my obligation. So when I went down to Foley for the last time, I dreaded it. I cussed my mom. I hated Foley. Still hate Foley. But because I stayed in my place, I knew my obligations, I knew my responsibilities. I was there when I was supposed to be there. And if I had not gone down, I don't even want to think about it. Because when I got there, following morning, Mama went to the doctor's. The doctor was very suspicious about her condition, and so they put her immediately in the hospital. Now, see, my family was raised that you were supposed to stay in the hospital room 24/7, 300. I didn't. My mom and my grandmother knew that I could not stay in the room. I was not going to stay in the room. What was the purpose of me staying in the room? First week, I stayed in the room, so that way I would learn the schedule. When Mama woke up, when Mama went to sleep, what happened in between those times? What was the routine of the nurses? The nurses knew me. Mama had wandering veins, so it was hard to draw blood. And there was one blood, whatever, that would come in, and I was about to jump him. Because he stuck my mama 3 times and didn't know how. And so he got stuffy with me. And I told him, I will whip your motherfucking ass. You need to bring me someone. You need to bring me your supervisor. So the supervisor came in, and I told the supervisor, he's not to touch my mama again, because if he does, I'm going to mop his ass all over this goddamn floor. So see, if I had not been there, I don't even think about it. So see, the whole week, I learned Mama's schedule. So that following week, Monday and Tuesday, I stayed just to make sure. But that Wednesday, I left at 5. Because that's usually when Mama was settled down. Mama didn't wake up till 6. I was there at 5:30. The nurses would come in between that time. Mama ate around 11 or 12. Then she did whatever. But I left. Now, some of the elders thought that they were going to chastise me. And I told them, you're not going to chastise me because my mama didn't expect me to stay. My grandmother didn't expect me to stay. And if Evelyn hasn't said anything to me, I'm not going to allow you to say anything to me. Now, I knew what I had said. I was disrespectful. So I went and told my grandmother because I knew they were going to. See, I learned early in life, if I did something I knew was wrong, I went and told on myself early. So that way the pain and the suffering and the consequences wouldn't be so bad. I told on myself. I learned early in life. I told on myself. And of course, I knew exactly what Evelyn was going to say. She agreed with me, but it was the way that I said it. And I was to go and apologize. And I knew I had to apologize because I knew it was wrong because of the way that I said it. I meant it, but I shouldn't have said it the way I said it. So being the trifling, obstinate man-child that I was, I went and said, my grandmother told me I had to apologize to you. I meant what I said, but I should not have said it the way that I did. And I did not mean to be disrespectful. But see, my grandmother knew her grandchild. And she asked me, did you apologize? I said, yes, ma'am. She said, and how did you apologize? And I told her, she said, I said, do I have to re-apologize? She said, no, but you know what you did was wrong. I said, yes, ma'am. I never disrespect. I don't know what that is. But it was a line. So have you had that talk in your family, with your immediate family? Have you had that talk? Do you have a burial policy? Who do you have it with? Do you have family plots? Where is it? Do you know who to contact for the funeral? What are your plans? And there's nothing wrong with it. You're just you can never prepare for death. You can never. But you can put something in place so that way the stress and the anxiety isn't as overwhelming as it would have been if you had not set up any type of understanding and obligations and responsibilities. Change is going to come, whether we wish it, whether we want it or not, whether we accept it. Just part of life. And once the elders have passed away, they would have left a foundation for us to build on. Boundaries have to be reset. Boundaries have to be set. Responsibilities have to be set, regrouped, remodified. It's just to prep for what's to come. State Farm has a policy now to where you can get life insurance. And I suggest that you check with your policy, with your insurance agent to find out, does your insurance, I know State Farm just started it because I have one. Dwayne Torbert up in Aniana is my agent. So if you have State Farm, check with your agent to find out about the life policy. But you should have something in place that will prepare everyone to what's to come. So that way there's less stress, anxiety, and pressure. And if the family get mad with you, oh well. Next. If they say, well, you shoulda, woulda, coulda, your ass should have been down here more. You should have been more present in person. We don't wish to hear your opinion. Your opinion does not matter. Now, if you, all these suggestions that you have that is coming up with all the money, well, then you pay for it, and we will gladly accept it. But you're not planning this funeral. We're gonna do a good go away ceremony for mama, for daddy, but we're not going to go in debt for it because you feel guilty that you didn't do something. You should have showed her how much you cared for her when they were living, because I'm not giving you a chance while they're dead. I don't want to hear about you loving her. I don't want to hear about, oh, I want to hear it. I want to be left alone. My mom, my daddy's gone. I don't need to hear this chitter chatter. Now, you better be glad we're having a family gathering where the church people have brought the food. Now, you eat, you go. Make it easy on yourselves. Because if you've never experienced that, you cannot imagine. You cannot imagine the attitudes that come bombarding you, that comes pounding on you, because these people say, well, we don't care what you think. Don't give a happy goddamn about what you think. This is my mom, and I don't want to care. I don't care about you. Well, she was my sister. Okay, and your point is what? Nobody liked you. They just put up with you. We don't care about your opinion. Use your opinion on your own family. From what I understand, your family's fucked up. Make it easy on yourselves. You have to have that family talk. You have to. It's a necessity. It's your obligation to your family to make sure that everybody understands exactly what is to transpire when that time comes, when that time occurs. You have to. You have to. Because you're going to be overwhelmed with so much pain, so much anger, so much anxiety that you're not going to think properly. See, that's why I set up everything now, because I don't want my godkids to go through any more than they're going through. Everything's set up. I think the most expensive thing that I have is the blanket or whatever, and that was because I like yellow roses. The man looked at me like I was crazy. I want the cheapest casket. This man, I told this man exactly, precisely what I wanted. This man had the audacity to show me a mahogany casket for over $85,000. What the hell do I need a casket that costs $85,000? I don't give a happy goddamn about it being mahogany. Nobody's going to see that shit. I wonder, can you rent caskets? Now, if you're going to have a viewing, it would be nice. But then, since people want to show off, that this is how I love my mama. I'm going to give no. Everybody knew you didn't like your mama. Everybody knew that you always fuss with your mama. Everybody knew that they blamed you for your mama being dead because you put her through too much stress and pressure. Everybody knew your ass is stolen from her. See that anxiety, that guilt. You should have did all that before your mama passed away. But I wonder if you can rent a casket. But he wanted to show me a mahogany casket. I said, no, sir. I said, what is the cheapest casket you got? I have to tell you, that casket is the most ugliest thing, but I'm not going to know about it. I told him I wanted a pine box. He was horrified. I wanted a pine box. I want to be buck-ass naked. I want my favorite pillow and my favorite blanket. Sure did. He said it wasn't possible. I didn't understand the reason why I couldn't have just a pine box with my favorite pillow, my favorite blanket. Because I'm not going for a viewing. Nobody's going to see my little naked ass. So I had the most ugliest coffin that you could get, the cheapest. No one's going to have to fight over who's going to be in the front car because there ain't going to be no front car. There's not going to be a family viewing. There's not going to be a chapel, whatever the hell they do, and there's not going to be a graveyard service. I'm not going to put nobody through that shit. You're going to go through the pain of a family viewing. Then you're going to have this church service, which is another pain. Then you're going to have a graveyard. Why? You should have done all of that while they were alive. You should have praised them when they were alive. You should have given them their roses when they were alive. You should have done all of this grandeur while they were alive. So see, I'm not having that grand. I'm not giving no one a stage to ease their conscience. No, you're going to feel guilty for the rest of your life. And no one's to know. I told them, I do not want you to tell no one in my family. No one in my family should know when I'm gone. None of the business. You didn't see me when I was alive. See, people don't seem to understand. If I have no problem in cutting family members loose, I sure as hell don't have any type of problem cutting anyone else loose. You make it easy on yourself. You make it financially responsible for yourself. And then again, if you want to spend all of that extravagant money on bullshit, that's your right. That's your right. I don't understand it, but that's your right. But if you want to spend all that money, you should have had some type of policy to back up that money. You should already have your funeral plots. And the family can get together and come together and come up with some type of deal with a cemetery, so that way that you have 6 plots, and these are the individuals that are going into those plots. But it's time to pre-plan, so you don't have to go through all that bullshit. So that way that aunt can't come up to you and say, well, you should have. Nobody cares because I really never liked you, but mama mama kept me off of you. Changes. Family dynamics change. Family responsibilities change. Family boundaries change. Family values change. You have the core. But when it comes to your aunts and your uncles, sometimes you have to push them away because they don't mean any good to you. They were toxic in the family. They don't need to be toxic in your family with you, your wife, and your children, or with your siblings. If they want to be miserable, you allow them to be miserable by themselves. You don't have to put up with that shit. Their sisters, their siblings had to put up with it. I didn't put up with shit. Not going to put up with no shit. Because their parents put up with it. They were taught to put up. It was sort of like a dumb. You don't have to put up with it. You don't have to put up with it. You save your children. You save your family from the toxicity that aunt or that uncle or those aunts and uncles bring or those cousins bring. But you do what you have to to make sure that your family is going to be okay. You make sure that your family is the best that it can be. That's what you do. So, have you had that talk? If you haven't had that talk, you need to have that talk. People, if you don't know when the day is coming, people are passing away like left and right. Before you know it, sisters, whatever's gone next day, the next week, a week after that, somebody else is gone. It's time. See, that's prepping you. That's your flags. We need to have this talk. And everybody needs to understand, we're not waiting 3 weeks for your ass. Because you didn't come down here on a regular basis and do whatever. No, we're not waiting 3 weeks for your ass to get here. Sure not. This is the funeral. This is the date of the funeral. If you can't get here by that time, sorry. And I don't want to hear about, well, your mom, this ain't my mom. I'm doing this. I'm doing this. I'm making this easy on me. And you think about your feelings. Everybody's going to be okay. And that guilt that family members want to put on you, that's okay. Don't let them put their guilt on you. That's not your guilt. That's their guilt. You make it easy on yourself. You grieve in your own way, and you grieve responsibly on your own way. You don't have to wait 3 weeks for individuals to get to no damn place. Sure don't. You tell them. You set up boundaries. This is how it's going to be. Don't want to hear nothing from you. This is how it's going to be. And don't have your folks calling me because I'm going to hang up on them or I'm going to cuss them out. They shouldn't be calling me anyway because they should know that I'm going through something that's really painful. I don't need any more stress. So you need to tell your kids and everybody else, don't call me. And you need to have an understanding with your siblings. This is what we're going to do because you're always going to have that one sibling. And you let that one sibling know that we're not putting up with your bullshit. This is how we're going to do it. You set your boundaries. And you stay with your boundaries. You don't change. Gonna come. Gonna come. Well, that's it. That's it. I appreciate you coming in. Appreciate you taking time with me. OZZz. Smash Bros Radio. If you're not done so, please like, follow, share, and subscribe. You can find Smash Bros on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. You can find me, OZZz, your Dutch uncle, on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Download our app. Enjoy your Monday. Take care of yourselves. Know you have value. You have worth. Know your value. Know your worth. Know that you don't have to put no bullshit with nobody. Know that you set the examples. You set the boundaries. And always remember, I love you more than I love my luggage. I'll see you Tuesday. Y'all take care. The live stream on the show. The live stream on the show. The live stream. The live stream on the show.